Hello everybody and welcome to another D&D discussion video. In this video, we're gonna go through Druid from the 2024 Player's Handbook, levels 1 through 20. If you like this video and you wanna see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into it. Again, I'm gonna be using D&D Beyond to go through all of the class features of the Druid. So just click Druid when you get into there and add class. And then we're gonna go through levels 1 through 20, so hit that. And here we are. At first level, your core Druid traits. Your primary ability is Wisdom. Your hit point die is gonna be a D8 per Druid level. Your saving throw proficiencies are Intelligence and Wisdom. Your skill proficiencies, you choose 2 between Animal Handling, Arcana, Insight, Medicine, Nature, Perception, Religion, or Survival. You are proficient with simple weapons, an herbalism kit, light armor, and shields. For your starting equipment, it's similar to other classes where you choose A or B. I like choosing A because it's easier that way. You already get all the stuff that you need. You don't have to worry about spending your gold pieces. So on A, option A, you have leather armor, shield, sickle, druidic focus, which is typically a quarterstaff, explorer's pack, herbalism kit, and 9 gold pieces. So first decision, I get to choose my skill proficiencies. So let's go through here. I'm gonna choose, just be a stereotypical druid here. Let me go with animal handling, and then let me go with survival. I could have done nature here, but I'm really gonna focus on wisdom. So animal handling and survival are both wisdom checks, but nature is an intelligence check. So after the core druid traits, you have the spell casting here. For the spell casting, you get cantrips, which are free spells. You don't have to spend any spell slots or anything like that on it. They're free. So you get 2 cantrips of your choice from the druid spell list. And whenever you gain a level, you can replace one of those cantrips. So you're not locked into the cantrips. So that's what's really nice about that. And then when you reach druid levels 4 and 10, you learn another cantrip of your choice, as shown in the cantrips column of the Druid features table. Like the other classes, the Druid features table is going to be at the beginning of the class. It's going to detail everything that you need to know for it, level by level, and so it's going to have a cantrips column that'll tell you how many cantrips you learn. Next, for spell slots, it just depends. Again, that Druid feature table also shows you how many spell slots of each level you have, and they're just a resource. So if you have 4 level 1 spells, then you get to cast 4 level 1 spells per long rest. So, and you do regain all expensive uses when you finish a long rest. So you gotta watch what you're doing. You can't just like, oh, let me just cast these spells. You have to kind of like plan it out a little bit more so you don't just waste all your spell slots. And for your number of prepared spells, that will also be in the Druid features table. It'll just show how many spells you can learn and you can prepare. So just check that. And Druid kind of works similarly to a cleric, to where after a long rest, you can change what spells you have prepared. So you don't have to learn spells, you don't have to keep them for a long time. If you have some spells and you're like, I don't actually use these spells that much, then you can just, after a long rest, you can just change that spell with something else. So you're not locked into it. It gives you more versatility, and you technically know all of the spells on your Druid spell list. You just have to switch them out after every long rest, if you would like to. Your spellcasting ability is Wisdom, which is why I said we're going to go Wisdom heavy with it. And your spellcasting focus is your Druidic focus that you get with your starting equipment, which, like I said, typically it's like a quarterstaff, but it can be really anything if you really wanted it to be. It could be an amulet, a ring, a necklace. It could really be anything. Also, at first level, you know Druidic, which is the secret language of the Druids. So you also unlocked the magic of communicating with animals. You always have the Speak with Animals spell prepared. So that's cool. You always have Speak with Animals. You don't have to worry about picking that up, preparing it. It's just always prepared for you. And it says you can use Druidic to leave hidden messages. You and others who know Druidic automatically spot such a message. Others spot the message presence with a successful DC 15 intelligence or investigation check, but can't decipher it without magic. So you can see it, but you can't read it. Also, at first order, you get Primal Order. Your options are Magician and Warden. Magician gives you some extra spell stuff, so 1 extra cantrip from this Druid spell list, and you get a bonus to your Intelligence, Arcana, or Nature checks equal to your Wisdom modifier. So if you want to go a spell route, Magician's perfect for that. And then there's Warden, which basically gives you proficiency with martial weapons and medium armor. So basically, do you want to go more spell or more martial is kind of how this works. I am going to choose Magician. I'm going to go a little more spell-based with this one. So let's do Magician. So I get an extra cantrip that I get to choose. Let's just go through... and I'm just gonna do Starry Wisp, because that's a new spell. So I'm gonna do Starry Wisp. Now on to second level, you get Wild Shape. Now, unfortunately, they've changed how Wild Shape works. So if you know how Wild Shape works in the 2014 rules, in my opinion, they've made it worse. I don't like how Wild Shape is in 2024, but I'm gonna explain it regardless. So as a bonus action, you shapeshift into a beast form that you have learned from this feature, and there's known forms down below that you can pick from, and you have those known forms that you can transform into. You stay in that form for another number of hours equal to half your Druid level, or until you use Wild Shape again, have an incapacitated condition, or die. And you can leave the form as a bonus action. At first level, you can use Wild Shape twice. That does change. That will be in your Druid features tables as well. And you regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So for your known forms, you get 4 beast forms that you can transform into. There are CR, which is challenge rating, which is just how hard the beast is. There's a maximum challenge rating that you can pick from at certain levels. So you see down this table, you have Druid level, known forms, max CR, and fly speed. Basically, yeah, at second level, you get 4 known forms, a max challenge rating of 1/4, and no fly speed. So which you can't choose like a bird or something like that. Druid level 4, you get 6 known forms, a max challenge rating of 1/2, and flying speed. Again, no flying speed there. And then at Druid level 8, you get 8 known forms, max challenge rating 1, and then you finally now can have a flying speed with any of those beasts. Now they do have beasts stat blocks listed for you. You don't have to choose those as long as you choose anything that your DM is okay with under that max challenge rating. You can use that as your beast form. So as long as it matches the criteria of the beast shapes table, and as long as your DM's okay with it, you can choose anything you want to. And whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace one of your known forms with another eligible form. So if you don't have to be locked into those, after a long rest, you could just replace out some of those beasts. More information about Wild Shape. So rules while Wild Shape, while in a form, you retain your personality, memories, and ability to speak, and the following rules apply. So this is why I am not as happy with the Wild Shape, because it used to be that you assumed the hit points of whatever beast you're transforming into, and then whenever those hit points depleted down to 0, you would transform back into your normal form right at the health that you were at before you transformed. But now, I feel like they give you less of a reason to do Wild Shape. So you get temporary hit points whenever you assume a wild form equal to your Druid level. So I hate that, because, I mean, if you get this at level 2, you don't have a lot of health at level 2. And if you Wild Shape, you only get 2 temporary hit points. So I really don't like that. I think it's dumb. This is their balancing, but you know, I get that Druids were strong before, but I don't like this at all. So, but that is how it works now, is you get temporary hit points equal to your Druid level whenever you transform. Your game statistics are replaced by the beast stat block, but you retain your creature type, which is like humanoid most of the time. Hit points, hit point dice, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. Class features, languages, and feats. So you pretty much lose those physical ability scores and assume the physical ability scores of your Wild Shape, but everything in your head, you know, personality, your mental scores, all that kind of stuff is the exact same. You also retain your skill and saving throw proficiencies and use your proficiency bonus for them, in addition to getting the proficiencies of the creature. So you essentially could get additional skill proficiencies, which is kind of nice. If a skill or a saving throw modifier in the beast stat block is higher than yours, then you can use the one in the stat block. So you just use whatever one is higher, pretty much. Now, unfortunately, there's no spell casting, so you can't cast spells, but shapeshifting does not break your concentration or otherwise interfere with the spell you've already cast. So the strategy would be to cast some spells that are long-acting, concentration, and then you can transform in wild shape. And objects, this is kind of simple to get, you know. Your ability to handle objects is determined by the form's limbs rather than your own. That makes sense. If you're a bear, you probably can't, you know, like hold something in your hand very easily. You can't, like, you know, so like if you're a bird, you can't like open a door or something, you know. In addition, you choose whether your equipment falls in your space, merges into your new form, or is worn by it. Worn equipment functions as normal, but the DM decides whether it's practical for the new form to wear a piece of equipment based on the creature's size and shape. Your equipment doesn't change size or shape to match the new form, and any equipment that the new form can't wear must either fall to the ground or merge with the form. Equipment that merges with the form has no effect while you're in that form. It would just be cosmetic. I mean, if you have a hat on and you transform into like a cheetah, you can wear a hat. You can be a cheetah with a hat. So like you can do that, but most of the time the armors and stuff, they're not going to do anything really, especially because like most of the time the armor, you know, the armor is built for a humanoid body, and it's probably not going to work on anything really. So a lot of times I just have it merge into my form. There's also not a lot of reason for you to drop it unless you have things on your person that you want other people to use. Like, oh, if you have healing potions, you know, then you can like choose to drop the healing potions and everything else merge in, that kind of thing. So after Wild Shape, you get Wild Companion. You can summon a nature spirit that assumes an animal form to aid you. As a magic action, you can expend a spell slot or use of Wild Shape to cast the Find Familiar spell without material components. And when you cast the spell in this way, the familiar is fey, and it disappears when you finish a long rest. So you get a little animal companion, you know, which could help you, you know. You can do Find Familiar without material components, and you can either use a spell slot or Wild Shape, so it's a little bit versatile there. Moving on to 3rd level, you get your Druid subclass, and since I don't have the book itself, I have to choose Circle of the Land. Celebrate connection to the natural world. The Circle of the Land comprises of mystics and sages who safeguard the ancient knowledge and rites. These druids meet within sacred circles of trees or standing stones to whisper primal secrets in Druid. The circle's wisest members preside as the chief priests of their communities. And Circle of the Land druids are very magic-based, which is why I went with the magician order. So you can just go from there, you know. You can kind of decide based off of your subclass that you're planning on which one you want to do. So everything else at 3rd level here is going to be Circle of the Land stuff. So Circle of the Land spells. When you finish a long rest, choose one type of land, which is arid, polar, temperate, or tropical, and consult the table below and you get different spells for that. So why not? I'm gonna choose tropical just because tropical vibes, you know, we're doing tropical vibes here. So at Druid level 3, you get Acid Splash, Ray of Sickness, and Web. Level 5, you get Stinking Cloud. Level 7, you get Polymorph, and at level 9, you get Insect Plague. To go through the other ones real quick, Arid, you get Blur, Burning Hands, and Firebolt, and then Fireball, Blight, and Wall of Stone. Polar, you get Fog Cloud, Hold Person, Ray of Frost, Sleet Storm, Ice Storm, and Cone of Cold. And Temperate, you get Misty Step, Shock and Grasp, Sleep, Lightning Bolt, Freedom of Movement, and Tree Stride. But I'm gonna choose Tropical, because like I said, tropical vibes here. Also at 3rd level for Circle of the Land, you get Land's Aid. As a magic action, you can expend a use of your Wild Shape and choose a point within 60 feet of yourself. Vitality Giving Flowers and Life Draining Thorns appear for a moment in a 10-foot radius sphere centered on that point. Each creature of your choice in the sphere must make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC, taking 2d6 necrotic damage on a failed save. One creature of your choice in that area regains 2d6 hit points. And the damage and healing increases by 1d6 when you reach Druid levels 10, which is 3d6, and 14, which is 46. So this is kind of nice if you have like a barbarian or something just in the middle of the battle, you know, everybody's farther back and your barbarian's just kind of going ham on people up there. You can throw that down and you can damage everybody around that one person and then heal that one person. So it's just like a nice AoE damage, but also bolstering the person who's in the thick of it. So that's what's pretty cool about this one. At 4th level, every class gets this. You get ability score improvement, and I'm going to choose Wisdom. At 5th level, you get Wild Resurgence. Once on each of your turns, if you have no use of Wild Shape left, you can give yourself 1 use by expending a spell slot. In addition, you can expend 1 use of Wild Shape to give yourself a level 1 spell slot, but you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. This is really nice because if you run out of Wild Shape charges, you can turn your spell slots into wild shape charges, and then vice versa. If you have a level 1 spell slot and you need a level 1 spell, you can just transfer your wild shape over to a level 1 spell slot, and that's the way you can just get that versatility. At 6th level, you get another feature from your subclass. So for Circle of the Land, it is Natural Recovery, and so you can cast 1 of the level 1 plus spells that you have prepared without expending a spell slot, but you must finish a long rest before you do so again. So you get a free spell. So that's what's really cool. You get a free spell if you do Circle of the Land. In addition, when you finish a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your Druid level, and none of them can be level 6+. For example, if you're a level 6 Druid, you can recover up to 3 levels worth of spell slots. You can recover a level 3 spell slot, a level 2 and a 1, or 3 level 1 spell slots, and you can't do so until you finish a long rest. So here you can recover more spell slots if you finish a short rest, and it's just really nice because you don't recover the other ones until a long rest, and so it gives you a little bit more, like, you can cast your spells a little bit freer, a little bit more free, and that way you can, on a next short rest, you can just recover some of those. At 7th level, you get Elemental Fury, so you gain one of the following options of your choice. You get Potent Spellcasting or Primal Strike. This is similar to like what the Cleric had, where you basically choose either Spellcasting or you choose Martial. So for the Martial one, Primal Strike, once on each of your turns when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon or a beast form's attack in wild shape, you can cause the target to take an additional 1d8 cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, and you choose when you hit. So you can change it up every time you hit. So you either get the Primal Strike or Potent Spellcasting, which is what I'm going to do because I'm being a spellcaster for this. Add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any Druid cantrip. At 8th level, yeah, you get ability score improvement, same as other classes. So let's go do that. Buff up Wisdom again. At 10th level, this is another subclass feature. So this is from Circle of the Land, Nature's Ward. You are immune to the poisoned condition, and you have resistance to a damage type associated with your current land choice in the Circle Spells feature. And here you have the Nature's Ward table. So if you chose Arid, you're resistant to fire. If you chose Polar, you're resistant to cold. If you chose Temperate, you're resistant to lightning. And if you chose Tropical, you're resistant to poison. If you made it this far into the video and aren't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more D&D, RPG, and regular gaming videos. I generally post and stream twice a week, solo and with friends, and I would love for you to be part of that community. Now let's get back to the video. And at 12th level, you get ability score improvement, pretty standard of every class. So let's go ahead and buff our Wisdom up again, because why not? At 14th level, you get another subclass feature. So for Circle of the Land, it is Nature's Sanctuary. As a magic action, you can expend a use of your wild shape and cause spectral trees and vines to appear in a 15-foot cube on the ground within 120 feet of yourself. They last there for 1 minute or until you have incapacitated condition or die. You and your allies have half cover while in that area, and your allies gain the current resistance of your Nature's Ward while there. And as a bonus action, you can move the cube up to 60 feet to ground within 120 feet of yourself. So this is really nice, if you're just fighting and you need some extra cover. Not only that, but they also gain the resistance to the same resistance that you get for your Nature's Ward. So for me, since I chose Tropical, they get also resistance to poison damage, just like me. And then you can also move it as a bonus action. So if you guys shift, if the battle shifts a little bit, you can just move it over. At 15th level, you get improved Elemental Fury. So it's just making that Elemental Fury better. So for potent spellcasting, when you cast a Druid cantrip with a range of 10 feet or greater, the spell's range increases by 300 feet. So that is fantastic because you can really reach with your spells now. And then Primal Strike, the extra damage of your Primal Strike increases to 2d8. 16th level, ability score improvement, always with every class. So let's go ahead and choose Wisdom again, just because why not? At 18th level, you get Beast spells. So while using Wild Shape, you can now cast spells in Beast form, except for any spell that has a material component with a cost specified or that consumes the material component. So here you go. You can cast spells in beast form now, so go crazy with it. Epic boon feat. This is with everyone. Every class you choose an epic boon feat, so I'm gonna choose one that fits with druids. I'm gonna choose a boon of dimensional travel. I think it's really cool. Increase one ability score of your choice, so I'm gonna just do wisdom because that's what I'm gonna do. And then you get blink steps. Immediately after you take the attack action or the magic action, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. So this is really cool. You basically get a Misty Step for free. You just teleport 30 feet, and after you attack or do a magic action, which in my case would be magic, so you just get a free teleport whenever you cast a spell or attack. So that's what's really nice about this one. You just, you know, teleport all over the map, you know, all over the battlefield. And then at level 20, you get Arch Druid. So you get the following benefits. Evergreen Wild Shape. Whenever you roll initiative and have no uses of Wild Shape left, you regain one expended use of it. So you basically always get Wild Shape for combat. So that's what's really nice about that. Nature Magician. You can convert uses of Wild Shape into a spell slot. No action required, you can just do it. Choose a number of your unexpended uses of Wild Shape and convert them into a single spell slot, with each use contributing 2 spell levels. For example, if you convert 2 uses of Wild Shape, you produce a level 4 spell slot. Once you use this benefit, you can't do so until you finish a long rest. But that's what's really cool about this one is especially for me, if I am doing more magic, it really makes me want to use those wild shapes up more, because that way, if I run out of a level 4 spell slots, then I can just convert 2 uses of my wild shape, because I'm not going to use it as much anymore, to get that level 4 spell slot back and cast a spell. And then you get longevity. The primal magic that you wield causes you to age more slowly. For every 10 years that pass, your body only ages 1 year. So this is not as big of a thing. It's kind of more so a thing that just like affects potentially NPCs really that are druids. And if you, if you have a campaign that is like super long running, super long term, then this would matter. But it really doesn't matter all that much, like in your normal gameplay. But it's just kind of nice to add in flavor. So something I've noticed about this new Druid in 2024 is they've really started to go away from Wild Shape and push the magic more, which, I mean, isn't a bad thing just because, like, I mean, they do have really good spells and the magic is really cool with it. I just hate it because Wild Shape was so good to me in 2014 rolls. I loved Wild Shape in 2014, and so it's kind of sad to see that they're moving away from that. But it's so cool to see different things that they're trying with it. So I don't know, what do you guys think about this? That's all levels 1 through 20. Let me know your guys' opinions on this. You know, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. I will answer them. Feel free to watch any of the other classes that I have on my playlist. But that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.